the evolution of trucking with LoShawn Parks, all the way up to where I'm at right now, 2019, Throwback Thursdays. Let's go. Is speed versus revenue, man, versus time management. All of these stuff is very idle, very key to being successful in running your truck as well. And I'll show you guys or explain to you guys some of the stuff that I've learned or have experienced or seen from being over the road as far as these three elements go in order for you to be successful. And if some of them actually even play a major role in you making money. The first topic is speed. We got a lot of people out here who think that being in the hammer lane, 75, 80 miles per hour, being with the cattle haulers, the FedEx guys is the way to be. And then you got those who want to be the snails of the road, which most of the time those are the company drivers of Prime. They do a lot of the 57s, the 55s, the 58s. That are snail drivers. Reason why they pretty much are doing the snail pace that they're doing at 55, 57, 58, it's not because they want to do that speed, you know what I mean? Nobody typically wants to just do 55 miles an hour. For the most part, what I've come to find out is that those drivers are company drivers. So when you're a company driver and you're not paying for your fuel and the company's paying for the fuel, then you have to pretty much do what they tell you to do as far as the speed goes. And I do know that if you're not setting a certain MPG, mile per gallon, over the week time or a week period, then they can, call you in and do evaluations. And if you keep on running too fast or something of that sort, and you're not meeting your mark of your miles per gallon for your fleet, then they actually will, terminate you. So a lot of the guys that you do see doing the 55s and 57s, 58s, to their defense, those are the company drivers. Reason why I feel like they do 55, 57, 58, Prime is a very smart company. Rob Lowe is a very smart man. That is his fuel that he has to pay for. So what does he want to do? He wants you to use very, very fuel efficiency to get there. Okay? It has nothing to do with speed, none of that. It's that the man is trying to stretch his dollar. Very smart man. Would I do that as leasing? I'm not going to stretch my dollar. Reason why I can run 65 miles per hour while the company guy does 55. He gets all 4 loads. I get all 5 loads. I pick up an extra load that he can't do because he's doing 55. I revenue an extra $1,000 for doing that. So while you're saving on that end a couple of hundreds, I went ahead and made the fuel that you saved on a couple hundreds. Plus I put a couple hundreds in my pocket. That's me. That's just me. You know what I mean? Everybody to each your own zone. But me, I do 65 hammer all day. And with a lot of people, it's not hammer because I get passed all day by other companies doing 67, 68, 70. I would love to do that. Prime would set my truck to 70. I do 70. But I'm going to set it to where they peak it at, 65. So that's what I got to do. And I'm not going to go no slower than that. So that's just me as far as speed goes. To me, speed ties into revenue because while you're doing the 55, yeah, you're saving yourself a couple of hundreds on the back end. If you're a company driver, you're saving Rob Lowe money, actually. If you're a lease driver, you're saving a couple hundreds on the back end. But by me doing 65, I pick up that extra load where I make up for that extra money that you're saving on the back end on your fuel. Plus, I make a little bit more in revenue, put a little bit more on my paycheck. So speed and revenue to me, not telling you to speed, man. Don't speed to kill. Don't speed or anything like that. I think 65 miles per hour is not a dangerous speed. I think that's pretty much a comfortable speed. So I've been doing it for 3 years. So I'm accustomed to doing 65, man. I don't know if I do 70 or something like that. When, if I'm heavy, I'm going down a mountain or a hill or something, to get up there. And at times, it's like, ooh, this would be kind of nice. But, when it comes back down to reality, 65 is good for me. So I got no complaints. But for the most part, the reason why you guys do see a lot of these prime trucks that are doing 55, 57, 58, 59 is because they are company trucks. And they are on a pretty much MPG scale per week that they have to meet. As lease drivers, we're not on that. You know, we pay for our own fuel. Do whatever you want to. That's fuel that's coming out of your pocket. If you want to go slower and you think that it saves you good and you get 4 runs in for the week, well, I get 5 runs in for the week and you revenue 5,300 and I revenue 6,300, and you tell me where's the difference at. So I made an extra $1,000 that week in revenue while you did 55 miles per hour and you saved yourself $200 or $300 in fuel. I made another extra $1,000. So I made what you saved in $300 in fuel, plus I made another $700. You do the math. Okay, take away my fuel expenses that I'm gonna have for that. Okay, no problem, $250. So I still made $500 extra revenue and $500 extra towards my paycheck. So I'm still good with that. I'm still satisfied with that, and I still make money. So the proof is in the pudding. 65 is not that bad. I'm never gonna do 58. That's just me. I'm not a company driver. And I'm about, like I told you guys in the last video about the leasing. Leasing is all about revenue, 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 revenue. We don't make cents per mile. You know what I mean? Where we can just sit there and say, oh yeah, each mile I'm making this. You know, as a lease driver, we're making revenue. We work off of revenue, man. If it doesn't make the right amount of revenue, it doesn't make sense, man. End of the day. All right, so on to that, I'm gonna talk about time management, man. As far as time management goes, the best way to run your truck, from what I see, from my standpoint, like I said, each your own zone, but this is an informational video for those who may be looking for information on how to run differently or run the way that I run. Like I said, I'm very profitable. Time management for me, I like to say, so and you have a 11-hour clock of drive, you have a 14 in your workday. With me, I like to, if I'm driving all day, I'm pretty standard. For me, I like to try to push it my first 8 hours before I take my break, my 30-minute break, which is a standard. You have 8 hours that you have to drive before you have to take your first break, period. It has to happen before you take your 30-minute break. It has to happen. So I try to push myself to the limit, like that way, let me get furthest out, furthest I can go for 8 hours before I take my break. I feel like you start doing a whole lot of stopping in between breaks. Stopping in between your 8 hours, man, you start cutting your mileage back, and then you start finding that you start getting to your 90s, your 01s later on in the day, and that's not what you want to do. You want to get into your 90s and places like that early. So I feel like if you start taking multiple breaks and stuff like that before your first 8 hours, man, you're really cutting yourself short. So me, I like to keep my door closed for the first 8 hours, man. That's just me. If you have to, man, because the route is getting too boring for you, the ride is getting too boring, there's nothing to look at, oh my God, it's just boring as hell around here. And I've been in those situations. You get out there on 20 out in the desert, you get out there on 40 out there in the desert, it gets really boring, man. Really boring, especially if you in Wyoming, you riding on that I-80. It's really boring. I-80 in Wyoming, terrible. So time management is very, very important. The better you manage your time, the better you will, be able to predict when you stop your truck at night, pretty much the flow of your day. And you always want to kind of make room for traffic accidents, traffic, things of that nature that may slow you down or weather that could slow you down. So I always try to give myself an extra 2 hours. So if I'm looking at it and I see that, okay, I'm driving this fast and it takes me this long to go this amount of miles, I always normally tack on myself an extra 2 hours just to give myself that extra cushion just in case, traffic or weather pops into play. So time management is very important, very important. Like I was telling you, how I manage my time is I try to run my 8 hours and then take me my 30 minutes afterwards. If not, I try to, I know at times, like I was saying, being on the I-80, it can be very, very boring on I-80 going through the Wyoming. So another way that you can do it is I try to do at least 4 hours of that. I'll stop for about a quick little 10, 15 minute stretch break, get outside the truck, check the load out, run around the load, do something, do some jumping jacks, whatever have you, to get the blood flowing, because that's actually what gets you tired, is from you sitting there and your blood just not circulating through your whole body, and that just makes you become lazy. So it is good to get outside the truck, get your exercise, get a couple of exercises on, check your loads, check your strap, run up and down, run around the truck a couple of times. Don't look crazy, because then people are going to look at you like you might need help. Do some jumping jacks, do a couple push-ups or something along that nature. But yeah, that would be the only other thing. I wouldn't advise you stopping every 2 hours, every hour, anything like that. Anytime you start stopping every hour, every 2 hours, man, you're doing nothing but slowing yourself down. You're making it harder for you to run, because the more that you're stopping, the longer it seems that the trip is taking for you to get there. And then all it's doing is putting you behind time. And then you find yourself in the last couple of hours or last few hours, you're trying to race to catch back up with your time. And it just becomes harder and harder, because like I said, you could run into traffic or weather, and that's just gonna slow you down even more. So my thing to you guys, what I do, I try to run my first 8 straight through, take my 30 minutes after my first 8, and then I don't do no more than about 30 minutes, man. I try to do my 30 minutes and try to jet extremely after my 30 minutes. I try to be going. So I don't sit around and just kill that. I try to do whatever I need to do in my 30 minutes and leave and finish my clock off. It's kind of important that you get your 11 hours in. You know what I mean? Don't short yourself and say, oh, I'm only going to drive 8 today. Now, you can drive 8 or do whatever you need to do if it's short distance for you to get to your 90 or your 01 in a shorter distance, and fine. But if you know that you have some distance to go, get your whole 11 in, man. Don't short yourself. Get your whole 11 in. It's best that you just get the whole 11 in. And like I said, don't take your break until 8 hours in. Or if you need to, do it every 4 hours. You stop, get yourself a quick little 10, 15 minute breather, shake it off, get that monkey off your back, that sleep monkey, so that you can continue driving and being aware and alert that's on the road. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for you guys for this video session here, taking up enough of you guys' time. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave a comment down at the bottom. Let me know. Peace. Y'all be safe out there on the road, drivers.